Hey everybody, I wanted to show you an example of 1.1.6 compound machine design. This is a student example that is designed to lift a weight that you can see right down here. The object was that they had to lift a weight at least 6 inches off of a surface. So they chose to lift it off of the floor, and basically what they have here is a turn crank. So you turn the handle, wrong way, yeah, turn the handle here. It has a compound gear train here, a little spool to wind up the cable. Sorry, I gotta stop that there. Little spool to wind up the cable, and then a fixed pulley which redirects the string down to the rope. So basically, the way that this one would be calculated, the way that I calculate it, is I start out by looking at the overall machine. Okay, and so what I'll do is I will start by turning this 10 times. Okay, and then I will get my circumference of that action. So based off of the radius from here to here. All right, so that's my circumference. And then once I turn that, say 10 times, I'm going to measure how far this comes up when I do that. So basically my input versus my output. And my input would be DE, my output would be DR. So I'll mark a little spot here on the string, rotate it 10 times, and then measure the distance that this thing raises up. All right, and so when I do that, you can see here that the distance that I lift is 1.75 inches with 10 rotations. I have so that's my DR, and then I have my DE is going to be my 10 rotations times the circumference of the handle, and that gives me 70.65. And so then if I plug that in to get my total machine mechanical advantage, I've got DE over DR, which gives me 70 inches total that I had to rotate. That'd be my input, over my output, which is 1.75 inches. That's how far it came up. That gives me a total machine mechanical advantage of 40.371. All right, so that's what I achieve by looking at the input versus the output. So then we break it down. And then we look at each of the individual machines. And so on this one, like I said, we have a fixed pulley. That's one of the machines. I have a gear train. So that's the second machine. And then I have a wheel and axle. And this is the tough one for kids. So this would be considered the wheel, the handle here. And the axle would actually be the spool. Okay, and so it's like we did a wheel and axle, and we separated the wheel and the axle from each other, and then put a gear train in the middle. A lot of times the kids will try and do this as the wheel and then this first gear as the axle, but you can't do that because you've already counted the gear in the gear train. So the way this plays out is wheel, axle, and then my gear train and my fixed pulley. And if we do the math on each of the individual machines, we'll see that that's actually correct. So the fixed pulley, the mechanical advantage for that is a mechanical advantage of 1. Compound gear train, we had 84 and 12. So 12 is our input, 84 is the output. So it'd be 84 over 12. And since it's compound, it would be another 84 over 12. And so when we do that, we get 84 over 12 times 84 over 12 is 49 to 1. And then our wheel and axle. So the diameter of this, so this radius times 2 is 2.25 inches. That would be my DE, that's the wheel. And then my axle diameter would be the diameter of this spool right here, which is 2.75 inches. That gives me an ideal mechanical advantage of 0.81. So now to find the overall machine, again, like I said, we had 40 initially, but if we were to take machine 1 times 2 and times 3, we would get 39.69, which is very, very close to the overall machine mechanical advantage that we solved for earlier of 40.371. So this is a great way for kids to kind of check their work, technically this would be more of an actual mechanical advantage. So this one should be a little bit smaller than this one here. Probably comes down to how closely the measurements on the wheel and axle. The gear ratio should be fine in the fixed pulley. So it's got to be something around either the measurement on my wheel and axle diameters, or it could be on my, maybe I didn't do exactly 10 rotations, or maybe it wasn't exactly 1.75 inches. So something might be off just slightly there, but you can see that we're very, very close solving it that way. So I like to do it this way by solving for the overall machine first, and then go down and do the machine 1, 2, and 3, and then these two numbers should be fairly close. This one's very, very close. Then that's good. That way you can prove that machine 1 times machine 2 times machine 3 is, in fact, the overall mechanical advantage, rather than just doing 1, 2, and 3 like the activity states, and then you don't know if you're right or if you're wrong or if you did it incorrectly. So let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, kind of back up here. That's your overall machine 1, 2, and 3, and then the product of the individual IMAs. All right.